finishing up, and then soon we'll get to Biden inauguration. Yeah, definitely different. Looking at myself, delayed, and here, looking at here. Yeah, just figuring it out, guys and girls, people. I don't want to get in the way.
Well, that was great. The sun is shining, and Mr. President-elect, this is the first inauguration in the history of America where J-Lo was the warm-up act for Chief Justice Roberts. With that, it is now my distinct honor to introduce the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, John Roberts, to
Better
administer
audio
the
with the mic,
presidential
or would you
oath
not even
to
hearing
the
me
next
before?
President of the United States, Joseph
Is it
Biden, to
better
administer
audio
the
with the mic,
presidential
or would you
oath
not even
to
hearing
the
me
next
before?
President of the United
Ladies
States,
and gentlemen, please stand for the
Is it
Biden, to
better
administer
audio
the
with the mic,
presidential
or would you
oath
not even
to
hearing
the
me
next
before?
President of the United
Ladies and
States,
gentlemen, please stand for the
Is it
Biden, to
better
administer
audio
the
with the mic,
presidential
or would you not even
oath to
hearing
the
me
next
before? I just realized that put that in a little loop. Yeah, I'm going to turn my mic down a little bit. Hopefully that's a little bit better, not as crazy.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
I'm going to turn my mic down a little bit.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr.,
Hopefully
do
that's a little
solemnly
bit
swear
better.
I,
not as
Joseph Robinette
crazy.
Please
Biden
raise
Jr.
your
do
right
solemnly
hand.
swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President
It's
of the
happening.
United States
the office of President of the United States,
and will, to the best of my ability,
will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution
Just
of the
testing how
United
long the
States.
stream
So help
is
you
lasting.
God.
So
Or
help
the
me
stream
God.
delay.
Congratulations, Mr.
Biden's
President.
getting inaugurated. Patriot Party came out. I doubt it's going to be a real thing. Trump is still going to be around for a while. We'll just have to see what happens. Election 2020 is over. Officially done with. That much that. If anyone's watching, hopefully the audio and video is okay. This is the first time streaming new setup. Doing like this, like, oh, what do I do? Finally, just like, oh, I should do video, light, so.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Damn TV tilted. Why are you tilted? Okay, I swear it's not tilted, it's just the angle. See if I can make it better. Not exactly sure what's going on right now, but also just paused it. It is not paused. It is in fact live as well. Oh. I did not pause it. It is in fact live as well. Gotta look at the
My
camera.
fellow Americans, a moment we have all been waiting for. It is now my great privilege and high honor to be the first person to officially introduce the 46th President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden, Jr.
Chief Justice Roberts, Vice President Harris, Speaker Pelosi, Leader Schumer, Leader McConnell, Vice President Pence, and my distinguished guests, my fellow Americans. This is America's day. This is democracy's day, a day of history and hope, of renewal and resolve. Through a crucible for the ages, America has been tested anew, and America has risen to the challenge. Today, we celebrate the triumph not of a candidate, but of a cause, the cause of democracy. The people, the will of the people, has been heard, and the will of the
Putting it out there
people
on the stream
has
just
been
because
heeded.
you never know.
We've learned again.
Thank you to anyone who's already watched.
Democracy
or
is
is watching,
precious.
whatever.
Democracy is
just watching.
fragile.
Hope you enjoy.
And at this
I'm
hour,
here.
my friends, democracy has prevailed.
That's what they want you to think.
So now,
What if?
on this hallowed
Who knows,
ground where
really?
just
What
a few
if?
days ago, violence sought to shake the Capitol's very foundation, we come together as one nation, under God, indivisible, to carry out the peaceful transfer of power as we have for more than 2 centuries. As we look ahead in our uniquely American way, restless, bold,
Just about to call my dad,
optimistic,
but then
and set our
inauguration started.
sights on the nation
So
we
we're
know
enjoying.
we can be
Just chilling out.
and we must be.
Listen to him.
I thank my predecessors of both parties for their presence here today. I thank them from the bottom of my heart. And I know the resilience of our Constitution and the strength of our nation, as does President Carter, who I spoke with last night, who cannot be with us today, but whom we salute for his lifetime in service.
Yeah, definitely still figuring out the stream.
I've just taken the sacred
let me
oath,
just pause it real
each
quick.
of those patriots.
Definitely still figuring out the stream. Thank you to anyone who's watching or has watched or will watch, whatever. This is Improve with Joe. I am Joe. I just turned on the lights, so a little bit better. Yeah, political commentary, news commentary, talking about what's going on. Kind of a big goal for me over this next couple of years, both being involved in politics and just talking about it, commentating on it, and trying to get people to change their opinion about what is going on and what should happen. So we'll talk more about that later, and let's get back to it.
Have taken the oath first sworn by George Washington. But the American story depends not on any one of us, not on some of us, but on all of us, on we the people who seek a more perfect union. This is a great nation. We are good people. And over the centuries, through storm and strife, in peace and in war, we've come so far, but we still have far to go. We'll press forward with speed and urgency, for we have much to do in this winter of peril and significant possibilities. Much to repair, much to restore, much to heal, much to build, and much to gain. Few people in our nation's history have been more challenged or found a time more challenging or difficult than the time we're in now. Once-in-a-century virus that silently stalks the country. It's taken as many lives in 1 year as America lost in all of World War II. Millions of jobs have been lost. Hundreds of thousands of businesses closed. A cry for racial justice some 400 years in the making, moves us. The dream of justice for all will be deferred no longer. A cry for survival comes from the planet itself, a cry that can't be any more desperate or any more clear. And now, a rise of political extremism, white supremacy, domestic terrorism, that we must confront and we will defeat. To overcome these challenges, to restore the soul and secure the future of America, requires so much more than words. It requires the most elusive of all things in a democracy: unity. Unity.
Proactive, intentional
In another
unity.
January,
My tag.
on New Year's
Really?
Day in 1863, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. When he put pen to paper, the president said, and I quote, "If my name ever goes down into history, it'll be for this act, and my whole soul is in it." My whole soul is in it. Today, on this January day, my whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our people,
I believe him on
uniting
that,
our
100%.
nation. And I ask every American to join me in this cause. Uniting to fight the foes we face: anger, resentment and hatred, extremism, lawlessness, violence, disease, joblessness, and hopelessness. With unity, we can do great things, important things. We can right wrongs. We can put people to work in good jobs. We can teach our children in safe schools. We can overcome the deadly virus. We can reward work and rebuild the middle class and make health care secure for all. We can deliver racial justice, and we can make America once again the leading force for good in the world. I know speaking of unity can sound to some like a foolish fantasy these days. I know the forces that divide us are deep and they are real. But I also know they are not new. Our history has been a constant struggle between the American ideal that we're all are created equal and the harsh, ugly reality that racism, nativism, fear, demonization have long torn us apart. The battle is perennial, and victory is never assured. Demonization, through Civil War, the Great Depression, World War, 9/11, through struggle, sacrifice, and setbacks, our better angels have always prevailed. In each of these moments, enough of us have come together to carry all of us forward. And we can do that now. History, faith, and reason show the way of unity. We can see each other not as adversaries, but as neighbors. We can treat each other with dignity and respect. We can join forces, stop the shouting, and lower the temperature. For without unity, there is no peace, only bitterness and fury. No progress, only exhausting outrage. No nation, only a state of chaos. This is our historic moment of crisis and challenge, and unity is the path forward. And we must meet this moment as the United States of America. If we do that, I guarantee you we will not fail. We have never, ever, ever, ever failed in America when we've acted together. And so today, at this time, in this place, let's start afresh, all of us. Let's begin to listen to one another again, hear one another, see one another, show respect to one another. Politics doesn't have to be a raging fire, destroying everything in its path. Every disagreement doesn't have to be a cause for total war. And we must reject the culture in which facts themselves are manipulated and even manufactured. My fellow Americans, we have to be different than this. America has to be better than this. And I believe America is so much better than this. Just look around. Here we stand in the shadow of the Capitol Dome, as was mentioned earlier, completed amid the Civil War, when the Union itself was literally hanging in the balance. Yet we endured. We prevailed. Here we stand, looking out on the great mall where Dr. King spoke of his dream. Here we stand, where 108 years ago,
girlfriend just did.
at another inaugural, thousands of protesters tried to block brave women marching
baby.
for the right to vote. And today, we
I know it's not
mark
very
the
interesting when I'm
swearing
just
in of
looking
the
at my phone,
first woman
but
in American history
just listening to him
elected to
speak.
national office, Vice President Kamala Harris. Don't tell me things can't change. Here we stand, across the Potomac from Arlington Cemetery, where heroes who gave the last full measure of devotion rest in eternal peace. And here we stand, just days after a riotous mob thought they could use violence to silence the will of the people, to stop the
Welcome.
work of our democracy,
Welcome.
to
Just listening to him
drive us
speak.
from this sacred ground.
We'll talk after.
It did not happen. It will never happen. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Not ever.
Taking some notes for stuff to talk about after.
To all
Notes.
those who supported our campaign, I'm humbled by the faith you've placed in us. To all those who did not support us, let me say this. Hear me out as we move forward. Take a measure of me and my heart. And if you still disagree, so be it. That's democracy. That's America. The right to dissent peaceably within the guardrails of our republic is perhaps this nation's greatest strength. Yet hear me clearly. Disagreement must not lead to disunion. And I pledge this to you. I will be a president for all Americans. All Americans. And I promise you, I will fight as hard for those who did not support me as for those who did. Many centuries ago, St. Augustine, a saint of my church, wrote that a people was a multitude defined by the common objects of their love. Defined by the common objects of their love. What are the common objects we as Americans love that define us as Americans? I think we know. Opportunity, security,
Oh, I got
liberty,
a bug in here.
dignity, respect, honor, and yes, the truth. Recent weeks and months have taught us a painful lesson. There is truth and there are lies. Lies told for power and for profit. And each of us has a duty and a responsibility as citizens, as Americans, and especially as leaders. Leaders who have pledged to honor our Constitution and protect our nation, to defend the truth and defeat the lies. Look, I understand that many of my fellow Americans view the future with fear and trepidation. I understand they worry about their jobs. I understand, like my dad, they lay at bed at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering, can I keep my health care? Can I pay my mortgage? Thinking about their families, about what comes next. I promise you, I get it. But the answer is not to turn inward, to retreat into competing factions, distrusting those who don't look like you, or worship the way you do, or don't get their news from the same sources you do. We must end this uncivil war that pits red against blue, rural versus urban, or rural versus urban, conservative versus liberal. We can do this if we open our souls instead of hardening our hearts, if we show a little tolerance and humility, and if we're willing to stand in the other person's shoes, as my mom would say, just for a moment, stand in their shoes. Because here's the thing about life. There's no accounting for what fate will deal you. Some days, when you need a hand. There are other days when we're called to lend a hand. That's how it has to be. That's what we do for one another. And if we are this way, our country will be stronger, more prosperous, more ready for the future. And we can still disagree. My fellow Americans, in the work ahead of us, we're going to need each other. We need all our strength to persevere through this dark winter. We're entering what may be the toughest and deadliest period of the virus. We must set aside politics and finally face this pandemic as one nation.
Yeah, over 400,000 people
One
dead
nation.
from it. It's fake.
And I promise you this, as the Bible says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. We will get through this together. Together. Look, folks, all
Couldn't
my
be
colleagues
truer,
I serve
baby.
with in the House and the Senate up here, we all understand the world is watching all of us today. So here's my message to those beyond our borders. America has been tested, and we've come out stronger for it. We will repair our alliances and engage with the world once again, not to meet yesterday's challenges, but today's and tomorrow's challenges. And we'll lead not merely by the example of our power, but by the power of our example. We'll be a strong and trusted partner for peace, progress, and security. Look, you all know we've been through so much in this nation. And my first act as president, I'd like to ask you to join me in a moment of silent prayer.
See,
Remember
it's
all those who we lost in this
there's nothing
past
wrong
year
with
to the
religious
pandemic.
stuff, but God,
Those 400,000 fellow Americans, moms, dads, husbands, wives, sons, daughters, friends, neighbors, and co-workers. We'll honor them by becoming the people and the nation we know we can and should be. So I ask you, let's say a silent prayer for those who've lost their lives and those left behind, and for our country. Amen.
yeah, I mean, I'm not.
Folks,
I'm,
this is a time of testing.
don't hate religion. Not saying that, but like, could our country not be religious? Could we not have prayers at the start of inaugurations? Could we not have "and God bless America" after every single speech? Like, it is time for our politicians and our country to go to a non-religious freaking point of view, and like, it's because there are too many religions. The presidency was dominated by Protestants for forever up until 1940s when Kennedy was, and he was the first Catholic, and it was such a big deal that he was a Catholic, and it was just like, whoa, the Pope is gonna have a direct hand of the presidency. It's gonna control, and the fact, they're just,
We face an attack on our democracy and on truth. A raging virus. Do right the next.
I
Have
realized we
brought
weren't
us to
live.
this day. What shall be our legacy? What will our children say? Let me know in my heart when my days are through. America, America, I gave my best to you. Let's us add our own work and prayers to the unfolding story of our great nation. If we do this, then when our days are through, our children and our children's children will say of us, they gave their best, they did their duty, They healed a broken land. My fellow Americans, I close the day where I began, with the sacred oath. Before God and all of you, I give you my word. I will always level with you. I will defend the Constitution. I'll defend our democracy. I'll defend America. And I'll give all of you, keep everything I do in your service, thinking not of power, but of possibilities, not of personal interest, but the public good. And together, we shall write an American story of hope, not fear, of unity, not division, of light, not darkness, a story of decency and dignity, love and healing, greatness and goodness. May this be the story that guides us, the story that inspires us, and the story that tells ages yet to come that we answered the call of history. We met the moment. Democracy and hope, truth and justice did not die on our watch, but thrived. That America secured liberty at home and stood once again as a beacon to the world. That is what we owe our forebears, one another, and generation to follow. So, with purpose and resolve, we turn to those tasks of our time, sustained by faith, driven by conviction, and devoted to one another and the country we love with all our hearts. May God bless America, and may God protect our troops.
Again.
Thank
God,
you, America.
God, why don't we bless America? Why don't all the citizens of this country bless America and protect our troops by bringing them home and by changing the policies in which we use troops? Why don't we do that instead of freaking God? This non-thing. And that's it. Biden is inaugurated.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Garth Brooks to perform Amazing Grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now
Welcome. Just listening to him sing, and then we'll get talking.
was blind, but now I see.
Biden has been inaugurated. It's official. The election is over. We can all rejoice and or not rejoice. If you think the Patriot Party is going to be a real thing, and you think Trump is going to have an opinion, and he's going to be around for a while, I would disagree with you. I don't think he's going anywhere soon.
We've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first.
Yeah, we shall see what happens with this. We'll see. I don't know.
If I can ask you to sing this last verse with me, not just the people here, but the people at home, at work, as one, united. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that
I grew up listening to this song, but it's not the song that I think he should have chosen right now.
Like me,
It's just like,
I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Hard not to be reminded of President Obama's singing that same song at the Mother Emanuel Church. A song that in our culture is as close to both poetry and prayer as you could possibly come. And we're going to finish with those two things. Let me introduce Amanda Gorman, our nation's first ever National Poet Laureate.
welcome, welcome. Just letting it stream, and we'll talk after it's all done. Just reading through Twitter and the latest Trump pardons, because he's officially done, and he pardoned a bunch of people, and not that it was a crazy amount of people, but
Mr. President, Dr. Biden, Madam Vice President, Mr. Emhoff, Americans, and the world. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always just is. And yet, the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true. That even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried, that we'll forever be tied together, victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division.
welcome,
Scripture
welcome.
tells
Anyone
us
joining?
to envision that everyone shall sit under
Joe,
their
just listen
own
to her talk,
vine
and we'll
and
talk
fig
after
tree,
this
and no
section is
one
done.
shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That is the promised glade, the hill we climb if only we dare it, because being American is more than a pride
I'll keep
we
this on,
inherit.
but gonna...
It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a forest that would that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That
Just gonna put
is
on
the promised glade, the hill we climb if only we dare it, because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption. We feared it at its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So, while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert,
to this National Poet
how
Laureate
could
talk,
catastrophe
about
possibly prevail over us?
What's going on with you?
We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised.
But actually, yeah, really, I mean, this is just a Poet Laureate talking about what's going to happen, what our country could do, and putting it in a very poetic way, which is great. But how great would it be if instead of just this like feel good moment, like we started talking about things that actually mattered, like, but I guess Biden's gonna do that afterwards, so I'll let her speak.
Might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy, and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. With every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the gold-limbed hills of the West. We will rise from the wind-swept Northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked South. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover in every known nook of our nation, in every corner called our country. Our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
Very, very impressive.
Thank you, Amanda Gorman. Now for our benediction, I'm pleased to introduce Reverend Dr. Sylvester Beeman, the pastor of the Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Wilmington, Delaware, a friend of President Biden for 30 years.
The White House website reflects the current president of the United States, very quickly changed over. I would have closed with Amanda Gorman myself, but, you know.
As a nation and people of faith gathered in this historical moment, let us unite in prayer. God, we gather under the beauty of your holiness and the holiness of your beauty. We seek your face, your smile, your warm embrace. We petition you once more in this celebration. We pray for divine favor upon our President, Joseph R. Biden, and our First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, and their family. We further ask that you would extend the same favor upon our Vice President, Kamala D. Harris, and our second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, and their family. More than ever, they and our nation need you. We need you, for in you we discover our common humanity. In our common humanity, we will seek out the wounded and bind their wounds.
Just putting out there
We will
posts, a
seek
couple
healing
people,
for
not my
those who
president,
are sick
hashtag.
and diseased.
Definitely looking forward to having a conversation with some of the people, whether or not from
We will
Patriot Party
mourn
or not
our
my
dead.
president. Just to kind of
We
seriously
will
get
befriend the lonely,
perspective,
the
'cause
least, and the
that's
left
what I'm
out.
looking for.
We will share our abundance with those who are hungry. We will do justly to the oppressed, acknowledge sin, and seek forgiveness, thus grasping reconciliation. In discovering our humanity, we will seek the good in and for all our neighbors. We will love the unlovable, remove the stigma of the so-called untouchables. We will care for our most vulnerable, our children, the elderly, emotionally challenged, and the poor. We will seek rehabilitation beyond correction. We will extend opportunity to those locked out of opportunity. We will make friends of our enemies. We will make friends of our enemies. People, your people, shall no longer raise up weapons against one another. We will rather use our resources for the national good and become a beacon of life and goodwill to the world. And neither shall we learn hatred anymore. We will lie down in peace and not make our neighbors afraid. In you, O God, we discover our humanity. In our humanity, we discover our commonness.
More God references.
Beyond the
and
difference
how our
of
country
color,
is not
creed,
godly. We're
origin,
not fucking God
political
country.
party, ideology,
Excuse me for the effort.
geography,
Put a dollar in
and
the circle.
personal preferences. We'll become greater stewards of your environment, preserving the land, reaping from it a sustainable harvest, and securing its wonder and miracle-giving power for generations to come. This is our benediction, that from these hallowed grounds, where slaves labored to build this shrine and citadel to liberty and democracy, let us all acknowledge, from the indigenous Native American to those who recently received their citizenship, from the African American to those whose foreparents came from Europe and every corner of the globe.
Welcome, welcome. I'm
From
Joe,
the
this is
wealthy
Improved
to
Joe.
those
Just
struggling
talking,
to make
just,
it.
Waiting for him to finish, and then we're going to start
Every
talking.
human being,
Sending out the
regardless
message
of their
to some,
choices,
Patriot Party
that
and
this
not my
is
president
our
people.
country.
Just very, very genuinely
As
curious about your
such,
perspective.
teach us,
So
O God.
We'll get to it soon.
As such, teach us, O
Let me know what
God,
you think in the comments.
to live in it,
Like, what's your
love in
thoughts?
it,
What's going on? One,
be
I don't like this
healed in
guy.
it,
I don't like how he's referencing
and
God all the time.
reconcile to one another
He's
in
not
it,
my speaker.
lest we miss kingdom's goal. To your glory, majesty, dominion, and power forever. Hallelujah.
No, fuck that.
Glory, hallelujah.
See, this is the kind of
strong
stuff that
name
we
of
should
our
not have
collective
at the
faith.
inauguration of a president that's trying to talk
Amen.
about unity. Like, if you want to talk about unity, don't specify
Please
religion
remain
as something that
standing
should
as the
be
Armed
something that
Forces
you
Color
support
Guard
to be a
retires
part of
our
this like
national
democratic
colors.
process. Like, it's
That's a surprise. Just kidding. I got you guys. Some of you guys thought it was happening, right? Did I get anybody? Someone fell for it, I'm sure.
I fell for it, Pac-Man. There you go.
Some people fell for it. Beautiful. Oh, that was perfect. Can somebody clip that, please? Space Force flag recedes. Clip it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated and remain in your seats while the president and official party depart the platform.
The president.
Reasons, your ushers will release your section in an organized manner.
Not the president-elect.
National March, the Stars and Stripes Forever.
The president.
Welcome. I'm Joe. This is Approval Joe. Just finishing up.
What a
And at
day.
this point,
So there
I
is
think
a
we can go
very,
ahead and
very
just
long day ahead of us. I'm going to be back with people.
Go ahead and just leave that be. Yeah, to be honest with you, it's done with. Biden is definitely going to, I think actually just posted his first tweet, which is ridiculous that I care about that at all. But that's pretty funny that Bernie Sanders, who was there just like casual, just put his hands up type thing. Now it's becoming a meme how he was casual and just sitting there because it's Bernie. And we all wish that we would have had Bernie because they screwed him over. The DNC screwed him over. Yeah, because it's all a democratic process that's been fair the entire time. The DNC hasn't been controlling things. We weren't spoon fed Biden as our president. He's gonna last all 4 years, all these great things, and it's just, I don't know. What's your opinion? What's your thought, random person watching? As I figure this out, as I get more accustomed to this, whether or not it be the better audio, because I have a better mic. I just wasn't able to figure out with OBS yet. Gonna have a better mic. I got a great camera, got lights, all this stuff. Slowly figuring out the process in which for streaming, talking about things, the way in which I'm presenting information and talking with people, and what's the goal. So yeah, for this, the goal, genuinely, if I can get one person who is joining the Patriot Party, who genuinely thinks they are a part of the Patriot Party, or who's using #NotMyPresident in a genuine way. If you really don't think, if you really agree that the election was rigged, we're all entitled to our beliefs. And until everything is proven, it's who knows what's going to happen. Trump got impeached for the second time, and it happened so quickly compared to the first. Like, the world is an interesting place, and I don't know. It's a lot, but yeah, one of the couple things from his speech that I thought was really great: overcome diversity and promote unity. The term that I want to use and I'm going to try to use is #proactive intentional unity. So I might as well try to do that now. Why not? So here we are, Trump's last day. Yeah, Biden just got inaugurated. Let's see what else they're talking about.
And now, slowly but surely, folks will begin to file out. We see former President Barack Obama there talking to a number of different people.
So now, Biden's actual work is going to begin. Let's see what he does. Very curious what executive orders. He's already said he's going to cancel the Keystone Pipeline. He's going to start rolling back some of Trump's changes.
And slowly they will all exit. Donald Trump's during Joe Biden's speech, and I think that's a good thing. Listen, he wasn't there. He wasn't missed. Why even mention his name? And Mike Pence at some key moments, conspicuously not clapping, and I think that that's notable. And why would
I
he?
think that's a genuine.
Why would he?
I think it's a genuine point to why it's perceived that minimum wage being raised to $15 is going to be, that's a. Let me write it down as the first comment. Thank you for commenting, by the way, John Imek Doe. Do you have a sister, Jane Doe? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, no, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. That's something that people genuinely agree is going to be a good thing. But you're right, someone has to pay for it, and the question is who. Ultimately, the question I think that it comes down to for me is whether or not the minimum wage has been appropriately raised throughout time as the situation has changed, as our country has changed, as we've matured and gotten more economically advanced and more industrial or less industrial, as the cost of living has increased, all these different things, as those values have increased, has the minimum wage. And by the federal wage, which is still 7.25, it's not been raised. So you have all of these different costs for people, cost of food, cost of gas, cost of housing, cost of schools and education, like all of that stuff raises. And so there needs to be some appropriate kind of balancing. I don't think that a federal across the board $15 is like the magic number, just because people have been saying, oh, it's $15, it's $15. But, it's some sort of raised minimum wage, I think would be appropriate given that it has not been raised in so long. I mean, hell, look it up. The minimum wage chart by year. Let's see. Thank you for being patient. I'm looking up the U.S. minimum wage chart by year. Okay, so I will figure this out. It's a streaming's a thing. Where is this picture? Ah, go away, Daily Show. Okay, I'm sorry that the quality is so poor, but minimum wage, unemployed minimum wage down here, current minimum wage. Okay, this is a bad chart. I'm just gonna ixnay this. We're not gonna do that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know facts and figures offhand. I need to look it up. And thank you for commenting about that. I would literally talk about that because that's a huge point, and that's one of his policies that he's planning on doing. Is one of the first things. And so I don't know. I mean, the question is, what do you think would be the best way to improve America? To fix these things that are going on? Is it a hashtag? Is it hashtag proactive intentional unity? Oh, that's gonna like. Yeah. So this is the hashtag that I'm talking about. That's the hashtag that I want to start trending. It's something that I think is really beneficial both for our country, the strength of our country, our own like mental and emotional shit going on. Everyone has stuff that they're dealing with, like whether or not it's hashtag not my president. I don't feel represented. I feel that the country that I love and I've spent my time in and all that kind of stuff, like it hasn't listened to me. I mean, that's what a lot of people feel. That's what 75 million, 72 million people feel like that still supported Trump in the election. And that's a huge percent of the population. And we can't move forward with like this idea that, oh, I have to do things this way or the president has to do things this way, and we can't have compromises on both sides. Because the fact is, like, if we do things only one way, if we only do it the Democratic Party way, and not a mixture of both, then it's just not going to work. But yeah, so back to the minimum wage. I mean, hell, it's been 7.25. for 30 years, 20 years, whatever. Um, yeah, so I mean, I think that the perspective should be switched. Instead of thinking that the minimum wage will drive up the cost of food and living, think about it the other way. Food and living has increased, but minimum wage has stayed the same. And this country. Okay, so here's another question then: should this country be all about money? Like, should the growth and the status and whether or not we're good or not literally only be based around the fact that we make money or not, that our GDP is the highest in the world? And I mean, obviously I'm competitive. I want the country to be the best. America is the best. It has been the best and it needs to be the best again. You know, people are going to be making the same. Well, then people with degrees going to be making more, or the cost of food and like living needs to go down. Like, I think okay. So the thing is, where are the taxes? What you're talking about is it your taxes or is it corporate taxes? Because your taxes, yeah, I would agree. I don't know what your tax rate is, but if it's anywhere in my tax rate, I'm okay with not getting taxed 30% or 25, 30%, depending upon what state you are, what your tax rate is. Like, but corporate taxes have fallen so much because of Trump's tax changes, because of other presidents' tax changes, because of tax avoidance policies. All of this information, there's so much that we're missing out on in terms of taxable income from corporations and corporations that leave our country. Like if we were able to have a higher global impact and we're able to have multiple, uh, commitments and partnerships with countries around the world, just like the EU has, commitments in different countries. One of those reasons why they have those commitments between countries is to limit the amount that countries can take the money and corporations can take the money that they made in that country and move it to a different country. Basically, by being a part of the EU, you're limiting the amount that that country can transfer ownership of that money by to evade taxes. And right now in the United States, we don't have that. There is not this like overarching, political uh, um country partnership between the U.S. between these other, countries to prevent the money from being lost. Literally, the corporations make the money, they move it over to a different country, or they move the tax haven, they move like where the corporation is headquartered to another country, and they're able to literally evade taxes because of it. That's where our the increases to the wages, increasing to finances and transportation and all that kind of stuff should come from. Like yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just doesn't seem like there's proper accounting of all taxes from corporations. Like it's for some reason people don't prop. I mean, don't think about that, and it's okay because it's like there's so much stuff to think about. You know, there's jobs, there's living conditions, there's drugs, there's obviously the coronavirus and all that stuff going on now. There's a lot of stuff people are having to deal with and think about, and not all of it can be thought about at the same time. That's I mean, hell, I'm trying to do this as a full time thing. I'm trying to be aware, be active, be understanding about what's going on, politics in our country and in the world, and it's a lot. I am definitely struggling and figuring it out and putting it all together, but I mean, it definitely seems that there is a coordinated effort by corporations, both in our country and in other countries, to avoid taxes. Okay, cool. That's an economically motivated foundation. They're doing something that they want to do. They made money. They want to not pay all the taxes on the money. So they're going to use this legal loophole to establish establish the corporation in a different country, move the profits there, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. I don't know all the tax loopholes. Need to learn that, want to go to law school for that reason, to tax avoidance and zoning laws. It's boring as hell, but I literally want to start learning all about zoning laws and tax avoidance because those are the two things that it's like that's we've had such a loss of investment in our country. We should have invested in transportation, education, infrastructure, and partnerships around the world because if we don't have partnerships in these countries and other countries and we're not a big global power, and we still are, but we're lesser now because of certain actions. Like, I mean, it's if we were to have partnerships, we could prevent those corporations from transferring money and have all that taxable income, like or grocery taxes and property tax. Well, see, I mean, lower grocery taxes and property tax. Yeah, I mean, I agree that we could lower grocery taxes and income tax. Um, oh no, you said property tax. Yeah, property tax is an interesting thing. I don't really know how to feel about that. You know, governments need funds to run and to operate, and part of that way to draw funds from the people that live in that area is to have property taxes for them. You know, there's I'm sure money that gets taken from the property taxes to use for other means where it shouldn't be. But I mean, I don't know if the idea of giving money to other countries means we're being taxed too much. You know, there are certain reasons why we give money to other countries. I mean, we have bases all over the world. We have like 600, 700 something bases all over the world. And ultimately, that's to defend us. Like, you know, we don't want to just be one tiny little country because we're not a tiny country. We're literally almost an entire freaking continent. Like, if we had taken over Mexico and Canada like we should have, you know, the whole, you know, kind of thing, like, it would have been our entire continent. But we have a giant, giant part of it with the best weather and the best country and the best, you know, geography and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is that we've never fought a war on our country. We eliminated all of the Native Americans and all the Mexicans and Canadians and pushed them out. This is our damn country. Awesome. But we've never fought a war here. Like, and that's because of what we've done, you know, from World War One to World War Two. Well, okay, the Civil War was amongst ourselves. Sorry, let me add a caveat. We never fought a war here from an invading army. You know, China's never invaded here. We had Pearl Harbor, of course, but there are certain skirmishes on the West Coast for sure. Not quantifying that. Any history nerds, any history buffs, I love it. We definitely had some fighting on the West, whether or not between certain uh, Japanese neighborhoods, which people thought, you know, insurrection type stuff. Like there were, there has been conflict, but there's not been a war that has come here from another country besides, you know, since we founded the country. I mean, war for independence, like back to 1776. That's huge, right? Great, awesome. But that's why we give money to other countries. Like we're like, hey, we're a great political power. We want to take care of you. We want to spread our views, our positive views to your country. We want to influence. Hell, we literally try to influence countries. And I mean, that's should we do that? Should we not do that? Should we be the country that literally sits back, be in our border, and do nothing but just, you know, be in our country? Personally, no. I think we should be a global power because the more globally we are in charge, the more positive things we can change, the more impact and influence we have, and honestly, the more bases that we can have. Like we should run the entire world. Sorry, China. Sorry, India. You know, like honestly, this is one of the things I'll talk about later and get into the details. But literally, we should have taken over Mexico. There was a brief opportunity where we could have, and not in the way of like, oh, we're gonna go kill everyone. No. Same thing with Canada. We're not gonna just go kill everyone. No. But like the idea at that time, if we had done it in 1850s and 60s, not oh wait, is that what? Yeah, I think it was late 1800s when we took over that portion of Mexico. Texas was created. Basically, pilgrims and settlers moved into Texas. It started giving some money to Mexico's economy, but basically then there was a war and fought back and forth between Texas and Mexico. United States government came in and we won. So we won that portion of Mexico. We paid them measly amount of money, and we got that entire tract from Texas to you know, Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, California. We got all of that, and honestly, because of the wartime you know, position that we were in, Mexico was going to go down. Like there was no chance at all from our country comparing to theirs. We could have taken over the entire country of Mexico. But imagine not just taking over like kill everyone. Imagine if we had been like, oh, here's this country to our south. Let's incorporate them into our country, the United States of America, make Mexico a state, divide up Mexico into multiple different states, give them voting rights, give them abilities, give them all that kind of stuff. But then spread this idea of America, of freedom, of democracy, of civil rights, of individual basic rights, and like and just make that like a like a great thing. Like yes, just like how United Kingdom made their, you know, monopoly across the world, and literally the sun never set on the United Kingdom. Why couldn't we have done that? Why shouldn't we do that to this day? Like, not saying we need to take over Mexico, but you know, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's eventually if you project all this stuff into the future, like there's going to continue to be more conflict, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, or everything's going to be fine, and we're all just going to keep the lines, and there's not going to be any border conflict, and China's not going to come encroach, India's not going to encroach into China, China's not going to encroach to India, whatever. Like, I mean, ultimately the goal I think is the world organization that works together that improves countries which are struggling. We've gotten to a point where we have everything that we could possibly want in this country. Without all, not everyone, of course, not everyone, but that's that. Yeah. So yeah, I really think that we should be more global to have a bigger impact, to be able to have better security. If we had a closer tie with Mexico or closer tie with Canada, or we had better communication within our own different intelligence agencies, 9/11 would have never happened. You know, and if we had taken over Mexico before or incorporated Mexico, incorporated Canada, incorporated South America, incorporated parts of Europe after they lost after World War II, like I don't know. I mean, who knows? Like just like the European Union is an incorporated grouping of different countries. I don't know. But yeah, back to Biden. Literally, a couple things that he said. One thing, like Abby pointed out, the answer is not to retreat into competing factions. Referencing, red versus blue, conservative versus liberal, et cetera, et cetera. Like it's just not something that's going to benefit us moving forward. And that's where that hashtag proactive intentional unity literally is something that's like, I mean, it's a way to fight back. To be honest with you, like whether or not it's Iran or Russia or China or anyone, they have certain social media strategies that are definitively trying to influence our country. Whether or not it's China, Russia, India, whatever. Like India is our partner, so they probably aren't. But I mean, there's still I mean, it's still happening. They still do it, and it's only going to get more prevalent. Social media botting, like Trump, yeah, he's off Twitter for now, but there's still going to be misinformation. There's still going to be fake news. There's still going to be stories that are told for certain reasons to influence, for the explicit reason of influencing. So it's I don't know. It's just all right. Let's see what's going on. Thank you so much for watching, by the way. I'm Joe. This is Improve with Joe. Like, subscribe, share. I'm just getting started with all of this. It's an interesting journey so far. I'm definitely improvement focused. And the book I'm writing is a self-help book, and the title is going to be One Optimistic, Future-Focused Perspective on How We Can Come Together to improve the country and improve ourselves and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm trying to figure out, writing that book, trying to get that done, learning other things, trying to communicate with other people, learn different perspectives. Thoughts on the two-party system is possible for a third to come from? Yeah, John, 100% agree that we need to have a third party, a fourth party, a fifth party. So maybe this Patriot Party is a part of that. Maybe the Independent Party is a part of that. Maybe the Green Party is a part of it, the Libertarian Party. I mean, that's six right there. And yeah, I think the two-party system, honestly, we're being controlled. The Republicans and Democrats are being controlled. Um, yeah, see you later, Rowan. We'll do. Um, but yeah, two-party system, it's literally controlling us, the Democrats and Republicans. It's a part of a corporate duopoly. I think that's the word for it. Corporate duopoly, basically meaning that the corporations really, they're the ones that are in control. They're manipulating the scenes, manipulating the information, and kind of like using like the marionette dolls behind the scene type thing. Like they're the ones like, okay, here's Biden, or no, okay, here's Bernie. We're not going to let him go because that's going to make too much financial burden on the healthcare or whatever. So we're not going to let him. Then the Republicans too, like they didn't want to let Rubio, or they didn't want to let Ted Cruz or whatever. And like certain people saw, okay, he's galvanizing the base, so let's get after him, or let's go back and forth. And then he started to expose some stuff. Maybe Trump actually really started to expose certain things. Maybe the QAnon people are right. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein had an island, and Clinton was there. Other presidents were there. Other politicians and senior members of the. It's just who the hell knows what's happening. Uh, but yeah, the two-party system is not benefiting us at all. It's not working for us. Like it's just not gonna be the ultimate solution. We need ranked choice voting. We need a different kind of political mobilization. We need to get money out of our politics because it's so freaking corrupt. Campaign finance thing. Oh my gosh, super PACs, all that nonsense. Like it's ridiculous the amount of ish and shit that has been put into our political system for the purpose of controlling. I just read that book, The Color of Law. you know, highly recommend that because it literally goes through about how our government agencies literally decided who's going to live where, who's going to live there, and divided by race and social economic status and all this other stuff. And that's led to our current divide, like why most cities are all blue and most rural areas are all red. Because of those policies that our government had, that led to it. Which is so yeah, no, two-party system needs to go. We need a third and a fourth and a fifth and a sixth. And the ranked choice voting system, I think, is the way to kind of get everyone together along through this system. Like, yes, we have Republicans, yes, we have Democrats, yes, we have Libertarians, Green, Patriot Party, and we all have different views and pros and cons and hopes and goals for the future. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. It's like we need to all work together to figure it out and in the way that makes the most people happy. No one's going to be happy at 100%. It's just part of it. So let's see what else. The Sun is streaming. I think they're all done. Yeah, the Washington website officially, shows for Biden, so that's up and that's been updated. Uh, oh, but yeah, in order for the third party system to actually form, I don't know that's going to require besides just a lot of people getting behind it and supporting it, whether or not on social media, talking to their representatives about it, electing those different representatives, and that's why down the road I'm planning on running as a non-party or as a fifth party, sixth party. I don't know exactly what party. It's not going to be Patriot Party. It's not going to be Republicans, Democrats, Libertarian, Green, or anything like that. Like just maybe just the Improvement Party. Like let's literally not focus on all the issues, or let's focus on all the issues, but just improve them. Not focus on what's dividing. Focusing on what's gonna yeah. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I want to say that just like had Biden said, America, I gave my best to you. I want to do the same thing for that. Same thing for America, for my city, Atlanta, for the people that live here. Like, I have a District 2 map, and it's like there's only 50,000, 60,000 people that live in District 2, but I don't know. There's time to check stocks because why not? Oh, President Biden tweeted, "There is no time to waste when it comes to tackling the crisis we face. That's why today I'm heading to the Oval Office to get right to work delivering bold action and immediate relief for American families." Who knows? Maybe there'll be a $1,400 check in our mail come tomorrow. Um, Yeah, but then one of the comments on the thing is so he posted about that, and then one of the comments is, "You and your party mercilessly crush a man, his family, and his supporters every day for over 4 years. Now you want unity. Your hypocrisy knows no bounds. You can kiss my ass." And it's just like, Becky, Carol, whoever you are, you obviously don't know that. Both parties have done the exact same thing. Republicans have turned Democrats against Republicans. Democrats have turned Republicans against Democrats. Family has been turned against each other, and that's unfortunately what our policies are right now. That's what it is, and it's just like, yeah, radical label those groups as radical views like yeah, I don't know. It depends. Do you want to label Proud Boys as domestic terrorists? Do you want to label the Patriot Party as domestic terrorists? I think everyone should be able to have their view, no matter how radical, as long as they don't screw with other people. Like, it's as long as they respect the democratic process, respect this idea that we're all in this social contract together, a part of this country together. You know, it's a it's I don't know. To want the country to stay the same, to want it to not change, to want it to, you know, be I don't, and it's certain things. I mean, BLM and Antifa both have issues, 100%. You know, they don't protest the right way, in my opinion, and you know, but what is the right way? You know, like it just I don't know. I mean, we all live in this country together. It was founded on certain rules and laws have been based on it. And at this point, it's stupid because the country is literally saying, "Oh, if you don't believe in all these different things, you're not American." And and the fact is, America was founded with radical views. You know, like whether or not it's BLM, Antifa, Proud Boys, Patriot Party, like Nazis, white supremacists. You know, there's a variety of views in this country, and if we open up our borders like I think we should, and increase immigration, increase the diversity that is here, there'll be even more radical views. Hell, as we move into the future, there's going to be more technology, more criticism of that technology. You know, robots taking jobs, 30, 40, 50, 60 million jobs in the United States will be taken by robotic automation and AI automation in the next, 10, 20, 30 years. But no one's talking about that. And that's going to cause huge issues. There's going to be radical groups that are like, oh, they should replace all the jobs, do it immediately. Or they should be like, oh, we shouldn't use robots. We shouldn't have that advancement in technology because then it's going to replace all the jobs and people lose their livelihood and they won't be able to support themselves. So that's a great point too. Like, but those are all radical views, and it's like, okay, so let's not even like think about, or we can think about it, but let's not just think about the radical views of Antifa or BLM or Proud Boys or Patriot Party, whatever. Like, let's think about how all of those radical views can live together, because America was founded on this freedom of religion, freedom of practicing your own religion. And while I personally don't believe that we should have religion as a thing at all in our country, off of the money, off of any, like in God we trust, that's bullshit. Like we shouldn't have it. But you as an individual person who has individual rights, beliefs, and value systems, you should be able to practice your religion however you want to, as long as that practicing of religion does not infringe on someone else's rights. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Like, and we have, if you apply that idea that whatever you do should not infringe on someone else's rights and value systems and on their bubble, if you apply that back to the start of our country, obviously we've been getting into other people's bubbles. We've been messing up certain things. Like we've invaded other countries. We've manipulated certain elections. We, have corporations that are changing the way the world works on a fundamental scale in which way we probably will never be able to recover from, or maybe we'll be able to recover from, and technology, optimism, all that good stuff. But like, and just to compare the way that it was to the way that it is now and say, oh, we're not doing it the right way because it's not the way that it was done before, is just not wrong, but I think it's an old way of thinking. And I think a new way of thinking that incorporates more people, more ideas, more viewpoints, more diversity, more inclusion, all that kind of stuff is a good thing. So yeah, sure, BLM, Antifa, do your thing, but if you do infringe on other people's rights and daily lives and values and actions, like going in front of a freeway and protesting on a damn freeway, or breaking down buildings and storming into buildings like the Proud Boys and like Trump supporters did, the Patriot Party, like they've both done similar protest tactics or protest like form of like, hey, we're not happy, we're going to let you know, because there's a certain way to do it. I mean, hell, I am extremely, extremely unhappy with where this country is. And, there are certain other more radical ways in which I could express that view. But doing a YouTube, channel and trying to get my voice and opinion out there is a non-radical way and won't infringe on other people's rights, beliefs, value systems. I want to go change everyone's minds and values and beliefs and improve the world, but I don't want to make someone believe what they don't want to believe. I mean, if that's what you want to believe, fine. Go to your grave, believe it, whatever. I truly believe that over time, a more inclusive, more diverse, more globalistic, more future focused perspective will win out over time. Right in Portland today, I want you to terrorize community. Oh yeah, I would not be surprised at all that they riot in Portland, but yeah, that whole thing there with Portland, with Chad or Chaz, whatever it's called, that's all crazy to me. I don't know all the details there, and that just doesn't make any sense. How they were literally like they established their block, and then even like they beat people up in the block, even though they were just trying to like view what was going on or see what was going on, and it was just that whole thing. Yeah, I don't know, John, that just doesn't make. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, once you terrorize the community by attacking police and burning down places, you become a domestic terrorist. Yeah, 100%. Just like a lot of the, people that attack the Capitol are now domestic terrorists and are getting arrested by the FBI. So, I think there was they were trying to figure out how to respond to that. And do we want to go and arrest all of them or not? I think they were, yeah, I don't know if the government, Trump, Biden, whatever, played that the right way in terms of letting that happen. But like, I mean, yeah, because they should have sent in the National Guard right there too. Like, no, you're not gonna try to establish a new portion of the country like within a country. That's not gonna happen. Like, United States is United States. We have our borders. We have our power. We have the best damn military in the world, and it's never gonna change. Like, we're gonna be that way. We might have certain swings left to right. Um, and I think a lot of people weren't too excited about Biden's presidency, just like people weren't too excited about Trump's presidency. But I don't know. I think we need to move away from the Trump being from the president being so powerful, from being able to mold and shape our country in any way that they view, just because they were voted in by a majority. Like, should they really be able to change our country in such massive ways? And I mean, executive orders have been used way too much. We have a legal system for a reason. The only reason why our Congress and Senate don't work as well as they could is because they're freaking corrupt. The amount of money that's in politics, like it, yeah. Let's see what's going on in the tubes. Wow. 500,000 people are watching a CNBC stream and it's just showing the Capitol. I guess just waiting for stuff to happen. Biden just got there. No, they just must have pulled up. Yeah, Biden said on his Twitter that he's taking no time and he's going directly to the Oval Office. Yeah, there's no time to waste when it comes to tackling the crisis we face. That's why today I'm headed to the Oval Office to get right to work, delivering bold action, immediate relief for American families. So, let's see what he does. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's funny. Someone just posted, Nathan Pierce said, Mike Pence going from VP to normal citizen will be a tough transition. Maybe he'll need some conversion therapy, referring to all the gay conversion therapy stuff. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Kamala Harris is the first female vice president. I think that's huge news. It's great. First black, South Asian, woman vice president. Amazing. Representation having an example of something out there that you can look to, that you can model yourself after. And that's a big thing. And it's, I don't know, thank you for watching, by the way. Really appreciate it. I've been trying to figure this process out. Engagement is definitely the key for me. I'm online, hear me roar. I need to be out there more. I need people to listen because I have good views, I have good opinions, and I will change the freaking world. Whether or not it's kicking and screaming while I do. I don't know exactly the way that it's going to happen yet. It might just start with being District 2, Atlanta City Council member, whatever ends up happening, we'll see. It might just be like, if this social media shit takes off, who knows? Maybe I'll literally, like, the ability to walk around and help people, literally just like walk around and be like, hey, how are you today?
Yeah,
What's your problem? Oh shit, man, everything's okay, the weather's nice, I just can't, I've been trying to go back to school and I can't do it because this, because that, because my wife, the kid came, and just like, bam, you now have childcare. Bam, you now have, a fund for your school. Here's $5,000, $20,000, $100,000, whatever. I mean, I can't wait for that to happen. and the government honestly should fix these problems. It shouldn't take ordinary citizens just to become something new to fix the problem. But that's what our country is founded on. People recognize certain things that are needed and make a change and effective change and change the country. I want to be able to say at the end of the day, at the end of my life, America, I gave my best to you. The world, I gave my best to you. And you know, I really hope, I really hope, optimistic as hell, you know, it is possible for us all to move forward together, to have equitable representation, you know, taxation that actually is valid. You know, when you sign up, come to this country, you're part of a contract, and that contract requires a tax. And if the tax is not done appropriately, then you don't feel like that you're paying into that contract the right way. And if the contract is not fulfilled, as if you're not being protected, if you don't have your certain rights, if you can't speak what you want to speak, you know, all that kind of stuff, your Bill of Rights, the Constitution, all that kind of stuff. Literally, a great idea. I'm going to tomorrow go through the Constitution, just read through it. Read through it with you. I'm going to stream and talk about it. We'll see. I mean, it's a process like anything else. And there's a lot that I have to figure out, a lot that we all have to figure out. So thank you for anyone watching. Keep going, see what's going on. I think that was just the national band. Let's see. Thank you to whoever subscribed. I'm now at 148. Little by little, time after time, video after video. You know, it's gonna... Good. This is definitely great news. Says by CBS News, 11 House Republicans who objected to the Electoral College results have joined a letter telling President Biden that they will work with him on issues like COVID relief and infrastructure. Seriously, if all we focus on in the next couple of years is infrastructure and education, I mean, I think the whole country will get better, will heal, will yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, for the last little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about my book for a little while. Actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and call it here. Thank you so much for any and all joining. I'll be on in a little bit later, just to talk about some of the changes that Biden has going. I need to get into some details about. Yeah, I'll get into more details later about what Biden is doing. Gonna hop off for now, try to figure out how to get the chat stuff and more details about OBS Studio. Thank you any and all for watching. Subscribe, like, share. Really passionate about this, about providing improvement, future-focused content for you. I'm trying to write my book and finish a book as soon as possible. It's gonna have a wide variety of topics on it. And yeah, that's that. We'll see. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining. Thank you for improving with Joe. I am Joe. See you in the next one.